Is there racism in Russia? How do people with dark skin color live in Russia? Are there laws that regulate this? Make yourselves comfortable. In this video, we will talk about whether there really is discrimination on the basis of race in Russia. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Here we go. Unfortunately, the problem of racism is still a hot topic around the world today. People of all different backgrounds face it. Asians, Eastern Slavs, Irish, Arabs, and dark-skinned people can be disadvantaged. Many people die for this reason, but many more live in harsh, unfair conditions. It's faster and easier to think in stereotypes. This ability has been formed in us for thousands of years and has helped us survive when we need to make a quick decision. Friend or foe, help or run away. Sometimes we don't take the time and lack the awareness to analyze a situation. Many people know about racism in the United States of America. It is a topic that is publicized openly in the United States. People of different nationalities are trying to get along on one continent and create excellent living conditions for themselves. Interestingly, Russia is also a multinational country, but few people talk about racism here. Does this mean that there is no racism in Russia? When people talk about racism, they most often think about the disadvantage of people with dark skin color. Indeed, many incidents occur in such confrontations. In Russia, the number of people with dark skin color is small. Russia is a very cold and not very rich country. It has a strange policy and is quite far away from the homeland of people of color. However, some people still come here for university and work. All Russians know and respect Alexander Pushkin. He is the greatest Russian poet and writer. He formed a beautiful and literate modern Russian language. Pushkin's roots go back to Africa. His great-grandfather Hannibal Emperor Peter I saw during a trip to Constantinople. It was in the 18th century. He was the son of an African ruler, but was captured. Peter I sympathized with the little boy and his friend. He took them to St. Petersburg, the capital of the Russian Empire. He raised him in wonderful conditions, educated him in France, and integrated him into Russian society. This is the first and most famous example of a dark-skinned person appearing in Russia. Over time, the imperial family began to try to bring some captives from different countries and help them settle in Russia. Black people began to arrive most actively in the 1980s. The Soviet Union ceased to be a closed country. The authorities began to actively establish relations with African countries and Cuba. It was from there that many people came to the Soviet Union to study at university. The Russian University of People's Friendship was especially active in inviting them. Soviet students lived in isolation from the world. There was severe censorship in the country. It was almost impossible to go abroad. We talked about it in this video. Therefore, the arrival of foreigners was perceived as a holiday. Everyone was interested to learn from them about life outside the Soviet Union. Even interracial families began to appear. In the 1990s, the Soviet Union collapsed. There was terrible turmoil in the country. Studying and working there lost its attractiveness for foreigners. Gangsterism flourished at that time. Children of interracial marriages of the past years remained in Russia. Sometime later, when the 2000s began, Russia became a prosperous country. Foreigners came here again. Unfortunately, despite the loyal and friendly policies of the government, there is discrimination in Russia. Here are some examples of how black people have faced racism in Russia. The most high-profile scandals concern Russian soccer. For example, when Nigerian Peter Odemwingie moved from Lokomotiv to West Bromwich, fans stretched a banner with a banana drawn on it. Cameroonian soccer player Luke Zoa was brutally beaten as he walked to training. He played for Spartak and Anzi in the mid to late 2000s. In May 2022, Lokomotiv volleyball coach Andrei Voronkov called Urluka and TMK player Ilama Montalvo a monkey. He is a Cuban who has been playing in Russia since 2019. He was later disqualified for 2 years and forced to publicly apologize. Roy Ibunga is a student at the University of Bryansk. In 2020, he posted a video online of a cab driver refusing him a ride. When asked, "Are you a racist?" he replied, "Of course I am." Such situations periodically hit the internet. The authorities do not officially approve of it. At the same time, they do nothing to influence the situation. There is no doubt that black people face racism in Russia. even more so people from Central Asia who come to work. Russians are very often cruel to workers from Uzbekistan, Tajikistan, Azerbaijan, and other countries. Their labor force is worth very little. Most often their men get a job on construction sites and women work as cleaners or dishwashers. They are not citizens of the Russian Federation, so their rights are neglected in the country. Their salaries are small, so people are afraid to rent an apartment to them. Often the advertisements for renting accommodation may have a note only for Slavs. The hostility of worldviews also plays a big role. Russians are mostly Orthodox Christians. Migrants from Central Asia are predominantly Muslims. They have different attitudes to life and behavior. For example, for an Uzbek Muslim, a drunken girl in a short dress looks defiant, and he may treat her with disdain. At the same time, this girl will not understand the reason for his behavior and, on the contrary, will consider him rude. It is surprising that some Russians may treat people from Dagestan or Chechnya badly. These republics are part of the Russian Federation, but their citizens may be considered outsiders in other regions. This situation is most reminiscent of discrimination against African Americans in the United States. There are many people of Asian appearance in Russia. They are disadvantaged less often. The most frequent infringement of Asian women can occur. For some men, their appearance is a fetish. This is offensive to such girls. We have looked at examples of bad attitudes towards foreigners in Russia, but you should not assume that this happens always and to everyone. Thanks to globalization, everyone now has gadgets with internet access. Modern culture and politics actively promote tolerance and love for neighbors. Thanks to this, more and more people are becoming more educated and loyal. Russian youth actively opposes racism and condemns its manifestations. People began to learn more about each other through music and blogs. Wealthy Russians have started traveling to countries where migrants come from. This makes them closer to each other. The remnants of intolerance remain in small towns with low incomes. People there lack the education to deal with such problems. Lack of knowledge is the main root of such problems. People are frightened by something new and unfamiliar. Therefore, they choose aggression as a defense, as they do not know how to deal with it in other ways. Racism is a serious problem. This topic is very important. It needs to be covered in the media and discussed. In this way, people will learn more about each other and become more open. Unfortunately, there is racism in Russia too. On the official level, it supposedly does not exist. But in reality, people continue to face it every day. We hope that this video was a reminder to you of the importance of this problem. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel to learn more interesting facts about Russia and more. Thank you for watching to the end. See you soon. Bye.